Please welcome onto the show a very special guest, three-time ACC champion, two-time All-American, and your 2023 NCAA national champion, Bethel Park's very own Nino Bonaccorsi. Nino, how the hell are you, man?
I'm doing great. It's so funny every time someone introduces me as that. Like I'll do like interviews and stuff, and they introduce me as that, and I get so happy. I've been wanting to hear that for a long time, so doing pretty good.
Well, you get to be that forever. Like
Yeah.
you are no longer Nino Bonaccorsi. You are, which in and of itself, great name. You are national champion Nino Bonaccorsi.
Yeah. Sounds pretty sick. Yeah. Love it.
It's sweet. So how has life been since you took home the hardware? Has anything changed for you?
Yeah, it's been honestly a little like overwhelming at times because I've had a lot of people obviously like reaching out and doing a lot of media and stuff, and just with like the aspect of like doing all that stuff and then like kind of trying to wrap my head around like what I actually did. It's just like a lot of emotion. So it's like sometimes I'm like I need to like take a breath. It's like a little much sometimes, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. It's something that I've always dreamed about doing. So and it's all good stuff. So I can't really have complaints about that. But yeah, it's been really good. Nice little victory tour.
Yeah, you mentioned you've kind of been coasting ever since. Is there any plans to like get back into the grind? Try to pursue other opportunities for your wrestling career, or did we go out on top?
As much as I want to go out on top, I feel like it's not in my nature. I feel like to just kind of coast anymore. Just the way I grew up and just the way my parents are hardcore Italian. So we don't know, like I can't take it easy. So I'm going to actually start getting back in there. I'm going to start training and stuff. I'm trying to heal up my body a little bit just from the bumps and bruises of just, 20 years of wrestling. But, and then mentally kind of taking a little chill, but it won't be long before I'm back in the room and, training and just, because it's just who I am, and I'd like to compete at some point in the future. And so I'll be back.
Now, Nino, looking back at this season, you went 21-0. You had a lot of success in your college career before, but to run the table like this, was there anything coming into this season that you did differently training-wise or anything that clicked for you, or do you think it was just years and years of progression and it finally came together?
Yeah, there definitely was some huge changes in my life, but as far as like the progression, I do think that's a huge factor in how as I had success this season. I stay pretty committed to being the best wrestler I can be, whether that's on the mat and especially off the mat. I do a lot of the right things. So I was very confident that, my work ethic and, kind of the stuff I sacrificed would eventually pay off. But really, though, one of the big things was this summer, I was coming off like a pretty hard loss. I didn't accomplish everything I wanted to the previous season. And it really took me, some of those hard losses to kind of learn to value like what I really thought was important, when I had success the year before that, I made the finals the first time. I started to put a lot of value and emphasis on just like winning because as myself, I put a lot of pressure on myself and I had a lot of expectations of myself to have to win everything now. And I think that kind of played a role and, it kind of hurt me in a way where I wasn't wrestling to just wrestle and just be like grateful for it. I was kind of wrestling to like win and, kind of hang on and just win, which is like, in reality, you sometimes say that and they're like, yeah, no shit, but, but like, it's just
not bad advice.
Yeah. So, but it's like, just the way I just was feeling, it just like, it tightened you up in a way. Right. And it just took a hard loss to kind of learn, kind of switch my mindset. I started to view the sport as just like, win or lose. I love wrestling. I've been wrestling for 20 years. I mean, I love to win, obviously. Don't really like to lose, but just everything that comes with it, I love. So I really put an emphasis on that. And I really emphasize just being Nino, because I knew it was my last year, and I knew if I wrestled how I normally could, I could do good. And so, yeah, just a lot of mental training and a lot of mental adjustments, I think, really played a factor in this year. But yeah, went on a little tangent there, but
I love it. Like I said, magical season, a long time coming. Believe it or not, none of us three are national champions in anything. So can you tell us about like that initial feeling and how you celebrated?
Oh, dude, I still remember it. Like, it's going to be burned in my head for forever. But it's one of those things. It's kind of hard to explain. I keep saying the word surreal, but it was something that I dreamed about, every day, something that was always on my mind, waking up, going to bed. It was something, how could I get better at this? How can I do this? It's something that's just always running in your head. And I ended up landing my final takedown in front of the scoreboard, and I was able to kind of watch the clock tick down and to kind of see the seconds tick down to my like lifelong dream. It was just very special. And I kind of felt very blessed that, through all the ups and downs and all the turbulence in my career as a wrestler, just in life, it felt like all worth it. And it was just kind of everything coming to at once. So I don't know if you're like, a lot of things, like I just fell back and my hands were on my head because I was just kind of in disbelief about how, everything transpired. And yeah, so it was just it was a very surreal moment for me, for sure.
Yeah, we could kind of tell. We were watching the game from one of our favorite spots, Archie's, the match. Sorry, still getting used to wrestling. We were watching the match from Archie's, and it just kind of looked like the perfect image of a Pittsburgh kid wrestling for Pittsburgh, winning a championship. There were tears, there was blood, there was, celebration. It was great. Now, so you win a national championship. What do the seconds and then hours after that look like?
Dude, it's not as glamorous as it sounds. So you run off the mat, and I saw my coaches and my family and everything. That was very, very great. So then you run in the back. So then they have like a bunch of people like kind of on you, kind of telling you where to go for interviews and stuff. So for me, I went in the back. I also met Trump, which is kind of crazy too.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about that. Was I hallucinating when I saw Donald Trump shaking hands with you, or that happened?
It still feels, no, that actually happened. Yeah.
He was just hanging out at the wrestling national championships.
Yeah, dude, I like ran by him at first. I didn't even know. I was so out of it. And then the people were like, "There's Trump right there," and I just kind of turned around, and he was like right by my face. Like, oh shit, what's up?
Do you have any words of wisdom for you?
He was just like telling me, he's like, "Great job," because that's so tough to do, and just kind of like, some words of encouragement. I kind of don't really remember. It's kind of like a blur.
Yeah.
But he shook my hand, and everything. So it was kind of crazy. And so then I run in the back and I do my interview. So then when I leave my interview, they have a guy waiting for me who's like does the drug testing. So as soon as I like sign this paper for him, telling him like I'll like do the drug test, he's like not allowed to leave my side, which is kind of funny. So like I'm like going to get a drink and he's like watching me. I guess so. It's like I don't like cheat or whatever, but it was kind of weird. So everywhere I went through all the interviews and seeing everyone, he was like with me. He was like my little entourage. So then we went into like
was that guy at least like pleasant, or was he all like he wasn't taking away from the moment?
No, yeah, he was cool. He just kind of stood there in silence, so it wasn't like bad or anything. But so then we eventually went back to like where we get our drug test room and everything, and all the champs go back there. So when I went back, there was like two guys who already won, and we were basically had to pee like in this cup, and it was kind of like a decent amount. And it was like I couldn't pee like at all. It was like horrible. Like no one could pee back there. I don't know if it was because I mean, at least for me, before my match, I pee like 20 times because of like nerves and everything. So when it was time to like pee afterward, I had like nothing in me. So we're just chugging water. So then we're like, which is like fine. It's like, okay, I'll just chill in here, but they told us that once you start, like I already started doing it, like you could start and like chill and go back and try to fill it up some more. But they said once you start, you can't like leave the room. and we had to leave the room to take our champions picture. So he was like, you have like 15 minutes. And I'm like, dude, I don't know if I can do it. So
That's more pressure than the actual match.
Yeah, dude, it was like harder than the match. And it was like so much pressure. So then they told me
a lot of people watching.
There's people watching me. And then, yeah, he's like standing over my shoulder like when I pee. So I'm like, this is kind of hard, dude. And then, so like they told me, they're like giving some of the guys tips because there was other guys in the same boat as me, like just couldn't pee. And they told some other guys to get your bladder going, like lay on the floor and do like crunches. So I came out of like the bathroom and I saw like some guys, like we were huddled on the floor, like crunching, like trying to get the bladder going. I'm like, well, this is like, what happened to like, you win the national title and you're just huddled on the floor doing crunches to freaking pee. But, so I eventually got it out of me and I eventually peed and, but it was like, it was rough. It was really rough.
That's such a sobering experience.
Yeah, it really humbles you out. That's for sure. when you're on the dirty carpet trying to get your bladder to go.
Yeah, I'd imagine you're thinking like you're gonna run back and maybe pop some champagne, celebrate with your parents, and it's like, nah, come piss in this cup.
I know, dude. So it's not as glamorous as it might sound. It was actually kind of rough.
Didn't you tell them that alcohol is a diuretic? Like, you get a couple bottles, couple cases that would get you right going.
I know. They just had these like little. Well, then it was like they didn't want you to drink too much water because apparently if you drink too much water, it dilutes it. So then. Right. It doesn't count anyway. So it's like, it's just like a horrible setup. And I was like, almost like, just take my blood or something. Like, I got nothing. Like, I can't leave. Just like do any other test. I don't know. But it was, yeah, it was crazy.
And then once you sufficiently filled the cup,
yeah.
What was next? Pictures. And then when did you finally get to like actual celebrate your accomplishments?
Yeah. So we took we got our champions picture. Then we got like, we got these jackets. So it kind of slowed down. And then we went back to the hotel. And then my parents and my brother and my friends were at the hotel. So when we got to our room, it was like kind of like a reliving of the moment and everything. So that was kind of it. And, there was like so it was like late at that point. It's almost like midnight. So there was like nothing around, no food, and there was only a Domino's open like walking distance. So we got a Domino's pizza, and so I had my so I'm still like in my singlet too, which is everything. So you feel like dirty. You're like my lips are bleeding. I'm not showered, and I'm sitting on the chair, and I got my trophy in front of me, and I'm eating like a Domino's pie with some Mountain Dew. So that was like kind of my memory after the fact.
That'd be an amazing commercial.
Yeah, I know. My feet were up and everything. I know it actually could have been. I wish someone would have took a picture. It's it was I know it's probably very different than what people think is what actually happens after the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, I was just picturing the 2019 college football national championship where like Odell Beckham Jr. was walking around the LSU locker room handing out stacks of cash. There was none of that for you.
No, none of that.
Peeing in a cup and then Domino's.
Yeah, pretty much. That's pretty much what it was.
So since then, you had a little bit more glamorous of a victory tour. Just the other day, you're at PNC Park. You threw out the first pitch. Where did that rank on the level of nerves throughout the week?
Dude,
the national championship.
Yeah, man, that was up there. That was probably like throwing the pitch like finals, I think, for me, because like I haven't thrown a ball since I was like 8 years old, and I'm like not shitting you. Like I don't throw baseball, I don't throw football, I can't throw.
I don't mean to typecast, but there are two things every wrestler I've ever met can't do, and one is dribble a basketball, and two is like throw a ball.
Yeah, no, you're right. I can't. It's
freak athletes, just like this motion can't do it.
My arms, like in my body build, like my arms are made to like pull legs in. I can't. They're not made to throw any object or do anything like athletic looking. They're catered just to freaking hand fight and pulling a leg. So I was like really nervous. So I was like, I don't want to like really screw this up. But so I practiced for like 2 hours the day before. And
I'm pulling up the clip right now, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead. And I was able to kind of get it somewhat straight. I just said as long as it's straight and it kind of gets in the area code, we'll be good. So I think I did a decent job for having the worst arm in history.
I thought it was pretty good. The catcher could have helped you out and framed it a little bit better, but
yeah, yeah,
you got it there.
Yeah, I got it there. Yeah, so it was not too bad. So I actually get to do I think there's a semi-pro team, like the Washington Wild Things.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm gonna do one there. I think in a couple months or so. So I get a chance to really get a good strike. So
the throw wasn't bad. I don't know if you guys just heard me watching it. It wasn't bad. You kept your your technique tight to avoid mistakes. And plus, if anybody ever makes fun of you for it, you can just put them in a headlock.
Yeah, exactly. So it was but it was really fun. I got to go in the dugout and everything, and it was really cool. And we watched the game, and yeah, so it wasn't a bad experience.
Not only did you get to throw out the first pitch at the baseball backyard brawl, but I heard that April 15th is now Nino Bonaccorsi Day in Bethel Park. I don't even know where to be. What is the process for getting your own day? And then what do you get to do on your day?
Yeah. So it's not, I know, another thing that's not as glamorous as it sounds. So
damn.
Sounds like winning a national championship is just a pain in the ass.
Yeah, it sounds like it sucks.
I know. What's the point anymore? But
I'm never doing that.
Our like a secretary of the mayor's office in Bethel reached out to me a couple days after and was like, "Hey, what are you doing this day? You want to come in and get recognized?" I was like, "Okay." So I thought they were just going to give me a plaque or something, just kind of congratulate me. And then a couple days before, they called my dad actually for some reason, and they're like, "Hey, we want to name a day after Nino. Can you give us a day you want to have it on?" And my dad said April 15th. Don't know where that came from. Don't know why he said April 15th. But I'm like, okay, I guess that's the day. I was like, I don't know why we didn't say March 18th, the night I won, but apparently so he wanted to do April 15th. So basically we just showed up and it's Nino Day. And so when April 15th rolled around, I didn't do anything for it. I didn't, to be fair, I didn't really go out and test what I could really do. I probably should have went to a couple restaurants and it's me. I gotta put this on the house or something. So I never did anything. But
I don't know if you have a girlfriend or anything, but I would have been on all the dating apps, just guess what day it is. Guess what day it is. Guess what day it is.
No, yeah, for real. But it was I know. I think a lot of people too were what do you want? What do you want from us? I don't know. I don't know what, but, so it was, yeah, it was cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah, it was, yeah. So, I dumb it down a little bit, but it's all I'm very grateful for everything. And it's cool to even have, some of this stuff I'm doing. It's just, I don't make a big deal out of it or anything, but it does mean a lot. It's been very very humbling, that's for sure.
That's what we're here for,
Yeah.
Make it a big deal for you.
Exactly.
But even before the glory of first pitches and Domino's Pizza, catered celebrations, it wasn't always super glamorous. You actually started your college wrestling career unattached. That was your redshirt freshman season.
Yeah.
This was a completely foreign concept to the three of us. Can you help us understand what that you don't wrestle for a school, but you wrestle in NCAA tournaments?
Right. So essentially it's just have you guys heard of redshirting? That yeah. So it's essentially redshirting, but unattached just means that I can't wear the Pitt singlet. I'm not wrestling for Pitt. I'm kind of going by myself. So honestly, you three could enter a college open and be unattached, so anyone can enter an open and be unattached. You could be this year as a senior, I could have went to an open and I would have wrestled for under Pitt because I'm not redshirting. So all it means, it kind of symbolizes that you're redshirting. Because there's NCAA rules that you can't compete. You can't compete in tournaments if you're redshirting, you can't like wear the Pitt singlet, but they're actually changing some of those rules. So now it's like if you redshirt, you're able to wrestle 5 dates. So like our heavyweight this year redshirted, but he wrestled in duels for us. So they're kind of changing it, but that's all it meant. Yeah. So I'm able to just go to like college opens. I don't qualify for like the conference or national tournament, and I just have to wear like my own singlet. I could wear like my Bethel Park singlet to college open if I wanted to, but I'm still training in the room and everything. But that's kind of all it means.
Those kind of sound like the Wild Wild West. Is there anything like weird that goes on at those tournaments?
Yeah, I mean, you see a lot of interesting characters. That's for sure. Yeah, I mean, you'll see obviously your typical college guys and guys you're familiar with, but then you'll see like a 40-year-old guy like entering the tournament.
What?
Yeah, there's been some like dads and some adults who just want to enter it just for like the shits and giggles of it. But it's rough for them. I don't know why they do that, but
I was gonna ask, are they actually good, or they just can't hang it up?
They're good for like 30 seconds. They're then they just hit the wall and then they get kind of beat up. Yeah. So it's interesting for sure.
I'm 27 and I'm almost your exact weight. So if I ever want you to kick the shit out of me, I might have to throw on my wrestling singlet from North Hills when I was 8 years old, if it still fits, and hop in the ring.
Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome.
So do you think that that's a beneficial process? Like, do you think that contributed to your growth as a wrestler?
Yeah, I think it definitely got me ready for college. I think that redshirt year is huge. I mean, you could also enter in these. You could also redshirt and then just not go to any tournaments. You could just go to practice all year, which is fine. And some people do that. I always felt like you got the most out of like wrestling matches and stuff and like real competition. So if anything, it got me ready to when I was competing for my first year. So we call it like your redshirt freshman year, which is when you're actually able to like compete for the team and everything. You're just that much more ready because you wrestled 30 college matches already, so it's not like you're like a freshman. You already had matches kind of under your belt. So it definitely got me ready, and it definitely helped the transition from like high school to college because it's very different and it's hard to adjust at first, I think. So
yeah, I could certainly see that. Yeah, just that is a weird concept.
It's weird.
I'm really struggling to wrap my head around a bunch of 18-year-olds and 40-year-olds wrestling in logoless uniforms.
Oh, Did you ever have to wrestle one of those 40-year-olds? Were you licking your chops, or were you like, "Oh, do I really have to do
feel
this?"
bad for them?
So there's also like you guys heard of like freestyle wrestling, like it's like
okay, yeah.
So there was a freestyle tournament I did in the summer, and I was like, I might have been a junior, and there was this 40-year-old who he was going to enter the tournament, and I actually, when the brackets came out, I had him first match. He wasn't even 40. He might have been like 60. And then he ended up not entering. So then they redid the brackets and I had someone else. So he wasn't in the tournament. But that was kind of the closest I came. I was like, it wouldn't have been a bad first match. But I think it would have, got a nice little easy win there. But unfortunately, he pulled out. Man.
Fortunate for him.
Yeah.
If you ever get the itch to enter another one of these, can we just throw a Loyal Sun singlet on you? We'll customize one.
Hey, dude, never say never. I might get that itch again, and I'll throw in a Loyal Sun singlet for sure.
So maybe that's what's next for you. You said you want to keep wrestling.
Yeah.
We can get you to be the loyal wrestler in one of these tournaments whenever you hit the ripe old age of 40.
Exactly.
Well, maybe not that, but you did allude to, continuing your wrestling career. What does that look like after college? Is that the Olympics? Is there, a professional wrestling, not WWE? That's what my mind immediately went to, or WWE. I guess
what's next?
Tell us what's next.
Yeah. So, unfortunately, there's no like professional wrestling. I mean, there's WWE obviously, but in terms of like our sport, there's no like NFL, NHL, but the closest thing we get is to just the world championships and the Olympics. So that's like kind of our profession. So yeah, I mean, essentially what would be next for me is just trying to make some of those world teams and try to make the Olympic team and just kind of wrestle overseas and stuff like that. So, yeah, it doesn't pay as good as some of those other professional sports things, but I mean, that's kind of all we got. And, it's definitely improved. Back to when my head coach Keith and Drew were in college and trying to wrestle afterwards, it was, there wasn't a lot of money there. So I always say those guys kind of paved the way for us now. And there's a lot of sponsors, and it's definitely grown since then. So you can make a living out of it if you wanted to. But again, we're still obviously there's still room to improve, but that's kind of the plan afterwards. And if you want to keep wrestling, that's kind of what you got to do. So
gold would look good on you.
I think so too. I'd love to wear some gold.
And we'd love to watch you in the Olympics. That'd be big for Pitt. You better believe we'd rep the hell out of that.
Oh, that'd be huge. Yeah, man. So either Paris or Los Angeles. So those are the two next Olympic games. So those preferably Los Angeles because we don't got to travel far. But I'm not picky. So
you'd make the trek to Paris if it meant wrestling for Olympic gold. I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're really excited at the prospect of watching you wrestle in the Olympics, and we wish you the best with the rest of your career. But before we let you go, we wanted to talk to you a little bit about food because we hear
language.
That's what we heard. That's what we heard. Coach Drew tipped us off to. He said if you just talk to Nino about food, your interview could go on and on. So I wanted to ask you, how hard was it to maintain your wrestling weight, with Sunday dinners every week and that sort of thing?
Yeah. So honestly, weird answer. I'm going to get, it actually wasn't super hard. And I actually didn't have to cut a ton of weight, during my season. It was just, so I was originally a 184 pounder. Then COVID hit, and then I had like 6 to 8 months of just lifting and eating. And I got up to 220. So then that's why I decided to make the move to 197. So I was never naturally like a 220 pounder and had to cut the 97. I was really more so like a 205 pounder and getting down, which is still, you still got to cut a little bit of weight, but it was never something where I was like really struggling like some of these other guys who really have to watch their weight, which kind of benefited me. Because in my matches, I like to bring a lot of like high pace and a lot of energy. So I kind of needed all the energy I could store. But with that being said, it would be hard to I would have to shut it off at one point. I'd have to push a plate away. But for me, like I'll just keep eating. So after like the second or third plate, I wanted to eat a little more and I couldn't. But, my mom doesn't help either because she'll cook me, pasta the night before. And I'm like, this isn't going to sit well. It's going to be too hard to get off, or she'll go to the store. Dude, I'll never forget. I always tell her this. And this was like, there was one time, I think it was like last year, I was like kind of watching, I was sort of having like a week where I kind of had to watch what I ate. And all the times before that, I always told her I wanted cinnamon rolls. I'm like, you should get a little cinnamon rolls so I got a little dessert later or something, She'd never get them. So this one week where I happened to be watching, she goes to the store and she comes back, she got cinnamon rolls. I'm like, what are you doing to me? And so like, I had obviously had to have half a cinnamon roll that night, but it was like, so, but she's an Italian mom, so she's always trying to feed me, but it hasn't bit me in the ass too bad this year. So
Sunday evening or Sunday afternoon, what's your favorite plate? Put together the perfect plate for me.
Yeah. I'm gonna do chicken parm. Extra cheese on top, pasta on the side. I'll add like extra sauce because we'll have garlic bread. So extra sauce to dip the garlic bread in, and then just a big Caesar salad. Oh man. That's probably my best Sunday plate right there. I could eat that forever. I wouldn't get sick of it.
My stomach's rumbling.
Yeah.
And then for dessert, you would have the new Millie's flavor that they're naming after you.
Yeah, so it's we framed it sort of to be like an Italian theme. So it's a little more of like a cannoli theme. So the name for it is, they called it Hail to Nino's Cannoli Championship. So it has like a ricotta vanilla base, waffle cone and chocolate chips in it, and then they got like blue and yellow sprinkles for Pitt colors. So, and I keep telling people, I'm like, I'm not trying to be biased, but it's really good. So I got to get you guys a pint somehow. So I have like some extra pints. Maybe you guys could tell me how it tastes, but maybe I'll give it to Drew or something. He'll meet you guys, but
we'll swing by.
Good. Yeah.
Cater the Loyal Sons tailgate with the Nino Bonaccorsi cannoli ice cream.
Hell yeah.
That sounds incredible. Millie's doesn't miss, and they aren't paying me to say that.
I know. No, they're very good. I don't know, something about it. They're just I love them. They're very good.
I speak for all of us when I say I cannot wait to try this ice cream, and we are so happy for all the cool things that have come your way. First pitches, ice cream flavors, days named after you. You deserve all of it, and you make Panther Nation really proud. So thank you for giving us something to cheer for, and thank you for joining us today. This was awesome. I never thought we'd hear all about the mechanics of piss testing, but I'm really glad that we did. So thank you for your time, and hail to Pitt, man. Congrats again.
Thanks for having me, guys. I really appreciate it. This was fun, and hopefully I gave you a little insight to what it's like. Dane.
Oh, we know too much now.
Yeah. Maybe we'll keep that off the record. No.
Awesome. Thank you.